Oh, cool. It says we're live. Hi,
Yeah.
guys. So I'm Miki, if you don't know, and well, welcome to the seminar of today or tonight, wherever you guys are in the world. I seem very nervous at this point, but I'm actually thoroughly excited to hear that some of my friends from all over the world are going to be watching today or tonight. And I'm just so excited that you guys could come, whether you're watching this later or live. If it's a little not on time or not, I'm just so happy that so many people are coming out to watch today. Today we're going to be talking about living without regrets. So first off, what do you honestly think regret is? Like, have you ever really thought about what regret might be or where it comes from? So I also asked myself this question when I thought about speaking about this. And before I start, we're kind of on a weird kind of day because we were supposed to have the momentum session yesterday on Saturday, but certain things happened and we're here today. So everyone that could come out, I'm so glad you guys can make it. But back to the point, what is regret? I looked up online and this is the definition it gave me. So regret is to feel sad, repentant, or disappointed over something that has happened or has been done, especially a loss or missed opportunity. So what does that mean to you? Like usually that means that regret usually comes from some situation that's gone wrong, or maybe a person like does something really weird or really bad and they start to feel guilt and then they regret their actions. They wish they could take those actions back. But of course you can't turn back the clock, so you can't really do anything about it. Or can you? In fact, most of the time we don't realize that we do regret certain things. Like in, say, certain situations, you don't realize that there's that regret, there's that guilt. You feel that nothing bad has happened until the repercussions start. And when things start happening, when people start acting differently towards you, when certain circumstances change because of the actions that you took. And so I wanted to share this video that I'm sure most of you have already seen, or maybe you've seen the movie. It's from the movie We're the Millers, so I'm gonna try to screen share right now so you guys can check it out. Is it working? I think it's working. Okay, so this is a scene that from the movie We're the Millers, and we'll talk about it after we watch it, yeah?
What's up, dog? Not much, dog. What's up with you?
I'm here to pick up Casey, you know what I'm saying?
What's your name, man?
Sky P, you know what I'm saying?
Well, I'm awake and I speak English, so yeah, I do know what you're saying.
Hi. Bye. We're gonna go.
Oh.
Where do you think you're going? Would you please have a seat?
Hey, those are cool tats, man.
Oh, for real. Thank you, bro. You
Yeah.
see the Cobra?
And what is this one?
Oh, this?
Uh-huh.
That's my credo. No regrets.
You have no regrets?
Dad.
Nope. Like not even a single letter?
No way. Not me.
Well, I love him. I think he's great.
Okay.
I think he's a real winner, Casey. If I were you, I wouldn't use protection.
Okay, yeah, so that kind of ending was kind of, here, wait, how do I get out of screen share? Okay, here we go. Yeah, that was kind of the ending, but anyways, getting back to the topic of regret, the character with the tattoos, I think his name is Scotty P. He mentioned that he doesn't have any regrets. Obviously, you can see from his tattoo, he like tattooed it where everyone can see that he has no regrets. And obviously the funny part is that it was spelled wrong and you can't like remove a tattoo. So that's obviously something he should regret, but he doesn't realize that he has that regret. And so like, I mean, it's very blatantly obvious in this like movie, in this clip, but usually in life, we don't really notice that we have that regret, or maybe we don't. So how do we figure out that we have that regret in order to come over it, in order to overcome that regret? So I came up with a couple of steps that you could take to get over that regret or try to get over that regret. And this is kind of an interactive portion, so if you guys could get out a paper and a pen or whatever you used to write with, I mean, whatever your preference, go ahead. And I want to really take this time to get more like on a serious note with yourself. I mean, I'll do it too, of course, but I mean, if you really have something on your mind lately, because we all have our busy lives, or we all have different things happening to us every day, that we're all so different, it's really hard to come to grips with the fact that some people have the same regret or same feelings that we do. So we try to bottle it up so that we're the only ones that have to deal with it. And at times that can get hard because you put so much pressure on that it never comes out. But when it does come out, when that anger or whatever that emotion is that you're bottling up from that guilt, it could explode and like become something really bad. So, I mean, if you could become interactive with me and do this with me, I mean, hopefully that could help you maybe move past what happened. And it's not something that can happen like right away. This is more of a mental exercise that could like help you feel out what happens. Maybe take a couple notes so that you can maybe take this with you, and in a certain situation that you may have that maybe we're not dealing with, maybe it could help you in the future. So the first thing that I wanted to ask you guys is, what is it that you regret? I mean, that's a very broad question to answer. So, I mean, like, where do you start? Well, think about it. Do you regret something that you did or maybe didn't even do? Or maybe something someone else did or didn't do? Because if you look at people more than you actually do, like if you're more of an observer, maybe, or maybe just you're just a person that's really close friends with someone and they do something that you didn't feel was right. Maybe you feel that regret for them. So write that down. I'll write something down too. So if you guys wrote that down, like just writing it down really on paper helps you, I guess, process it better. So that's why it's better to like have it a paper down so you can like, actually look at it and understand what's happening better. So maybe it could even be a circumstance that you couldn't control, that you couldn't like take care of, that just got out of hand randomly because something escalated. Maybe there's peer pressure involved. Maybe there are influences around you that made you want to do something more than you usually would if you were in a different situation. So take that regret and ask yourself, how did that influence the other people around you? Because you took that action, because you did what you did, because you did what like led to that regret, how did it hurt someone else? Or how did it affect someone else? Maybe they feel more detached from you. Maybe they're more disappointed in you, or they lost trust in you. I mean, how did that really influence people around you? Now try to admit to yourself why the regretful thing happened. Think about it. Think about all the reasons why maybe this thing happened. Maybe there was peer pressure involved. Maybe it was because you didn't want to feel excluded from a certain clique or a certain group of people. Maybe you just felt that you wanted to fit in better. And oftentimes we do want to fit in better because that's what society brings us into. And society is a whole nother topic. But then again, society has a big role in regret and this influence that you have on others and others have on you. So maybe think back to what made you do or fail to do the right thing at the time. And I mean, really free your mind on this. Like, you don't have to hold back. If you're alone or if you're with someone else, you can think to yourself, or you can even say it out loud. Maybe it'll help you. You can even write it down if it helps. Maybe even ask someone else. You could also ask someone else for advice, or like how they like perceive what happened. Maybe the situation was caught in a different interpretation from someone else. So maybe it'd be easier if you ask someone else how they felt about the situation if they were there. Or you could explain to them what happened, maybe seek help or advice from someone else. So I have this like this step list that I have. And so that whole, like, I guess that was all a part of a step, is owning up to what actually happened. So if you want to like entitle it like big steps, you can start with own up. Own up to what happened. Own up to the regret, to how it influenced others, how the whole situation went down, how everything went down. So the next step that I wanted to start was fix up. How can you fix what happened? And ask yourself this. You can even write it down if that helps you. How could you have acted differently from what happened? Like, could you maybe have understood the situation better or had more respect towards someone else? Maybe you just needed to be more accepting to certain people or understand certain things better. Maybe you could have acted differently by not taking that action that you did, or, I mean, I don't know, it depends on whatever that action you took, but there's always something you can do that you could have done better. And that doesn't necessarily mean that what you did was wrong, but that doesn't necessarily mean it was right either. So if you could have acted differently, that would have made it into something that was better, where you didn't have to regret what you did. What was that? And why didn't you? Well, you could ask yourself why you didn't do that. But instead, we could talk about what's stopping you from changing the situation. Because you can't change the past. I mean, unless you're some kind of time lord or something, but it's basically impossible to us right now as humans to change the past, to turn back the clock and to change something that happened. But that doesn't stop you from doing something in the future to prevent something that actually happened that will possibly reoccur in the future. So what's stopping you from doing a 180? I mean, even if it seems impossible, like there are always things that you can do to fix a certain problem or certain situation. Like say you failed a test and you failed it. You got a really bad grade. So what can you do to prevent that in the future? Maybe you could start studying really hard for the next test so that maybe you'll get better grades, or seek out help from a teacher, take lessons from someone, ask for advice on certain questions, speak up in class. There are things you can do that'll help you avoid the same feeling that you'll have, the feeling of regret, the feeling of failure, if you really think about what you can do to change the situation. Another thing, getting off topic a little, somewhat. Change is not a bad thing. I mean, some people think that it's wrong to change. Some people think that maybe changing makes you fake, or makes it seem that you have this guise over yourself, makes it seem that you're possibly bipolar, you have different personalities. But that's not true. Change is so much more than that. Change is more of, in my opinion, I would say change is what makes the world revolve. Because we're constantly changing, day in and day out. There's not a moment where we're not changing in life. Like, maybe something that you thought you would do yesterday is not exactly what you would do today. Say there's a certain band that you like, and you really, really like them one day, but the next day they come out with this new song that's not really your thing. So, like, from one day to the next, you have a different perspective on what happened. And that's also influenced by your emotions. But all in all, change is not a bad thing. And if people think that that's a wrong thing, prove them wrong. Say that it's not a bad thing and stand up. Show your defiance and prove them wrong by showing them how you've changed and how positively it's affected your life. Back to what we were talking about. You can always do something to make a situation better. There's nothing you can't do. I mean, sometimes you're in a waiting period, and maybe waiting is the thing that you have to do. And that's not necessarily doing nothing. That's giving space to certain people. Maybe that's letting you clear your own mind. So in doing nothing, you're actually doing a lot. Maybe even try repairing broken bridges with certain people. Like in certain situations, where something bad happens. Say you go to a party, you drink too much, you start getting mad at some people. If they break the bridges with you, if you guys don't have a very good relationship, very strong relationship, it'll just crumble. And you can't live your life regretting that you let that happen. So maybe start by apologizing or asking for forgiveness and speak from the heart, because if you speak from the mind, only bad things will happen. Because if you speak from the mind, you're speaking from facts. You're not speaking from emotions. And putting yourself out there, putting your whole passionate self out there is really what you should do, because not necessarily in every situation is that the right thing to do, but it's better to speak from the heart than to either not speak at all or to speak back only the facts. Because when you're more yourself, you're sharing with that person your real emotions, and they can maybe even feel them projecting off of you, because energy is everywhere. And if you share your energy with someone, maybe they'll feel it too, and maybe they'll connect it with something that's happened to them too in the past. But before you can actually fix the bridges that you have to forgive yourself before, because you can't forgive other people. You can't have other people forgive you either if you can't forgive yourself. And it's really hard to forgive yourself for what you did. Maybe you did something really awful to someone or in a certain situation, but you can't take that back. You can never take back something that you did. And that's kind of hard to actually deal with. At times, you feel that it's almost unbearable to live with that, but you can't ever forgive yourself. But ask yourself this question: can you change the future? I mean, I honestly believe everyone has a little piece of them that can just change the future. Just change, maybe not the whole world at once, but you can change someone else's life, and from then on, they can change someone else's life, and so on and so forth, like a chain reaction. So, back on it, if you forgive yourself, others can start to forgive you. Sorry, I was talking too long and the screen blackened. Okay, here's the final step to really forgiving yourself. And again, this might not help all of you, but for some of you out there that are in tough times, or that like things are happening at home, at school, in your personal lives, I hope that this could help you. And moving on is definitely the like major critical step to take. So this next one is to step up and know that you have guilt. You will have guilt. And even though you may not regret anything at the moment, or you live your life without regrets, there's always something. It's not necessarily something that you realize or that you perceive day in and day out. Maybe it's something you feel all the time, and you feel that you can't have any happiness in your life, that you're stuck in a corner, that you feel cornered and boxed out from the world because of that guilt, and that it's hindering you from doing things that you'd want to do out in the world. But don't live your life in the past. Because if you live your life in the past, you're not actually living. You're just kind of surviving. Your body is living, but your spirit's not living. And you can do so much with your spirit, because we're all so different, because we've experienced different things, that we have so much to bring to the world. Each and every one of us. Whether we seem the same, whether we dress the same, have the same religion, whatever it is, we're all different. And that's what makes it special. So, guilt it up. I say, have guilt. And that's not necessarily a good thing, but it's not a bad thing either. Because when you have guilt, you're conscious of what's happening. You understand that bad things happen, and you accept it because you have that guilt, and you don't necessarily accept it. Sorry, back on my words. You don't necessarily accept what happened, but you're conscious of what happened. And that's where acceptance comes in, where you have to move on, because in the end, it'll help you avoid a certain type of situation in the future that possibly was similar to what happened before. And so in doing so, in guilting it up, you can definitely take that guilt and not want to feel that again. Put it in a box, put it somewhere that you can see, but that you don't always look at, because you have to keep moving forward. And so maybe in the future you'll learn something from moving forward. Maybe you'll learn something really critical to being a happier person. And that's already a step forward from where you were today or where you were from before. So either way, whatever you do, it should help you move forward while you're moving on. And I mean, you can also write this next question down or write down the answer, but what can you do now to avoid this regret in the future? I mean, you could still regret it now. You could still have that feeling of guilt right now, but the word on the page that you just wrote at the very beginning, your regret, the thing that you regret. How can you avoid feeling that same feeling in the future? Because it's not impossible to stop something. Sure, it seems impossible at times, and sometimes it's really hard to come to grips that things are possible if you put your mind to it. So really think about that and reflect on it. You can even like stare at that sentence, that word, whatever you put down there, and really think about it. How can you avoid that type of feeling, that type of situation in the future? If you just change a certain way, if you have a little more acceptance, if you change that little thing that you did, it can go a long way. So now what is there left to do? I mean, you've done all this thinking, you've been talking to people, asking for advice, you've accepted what's happened. Like, what are you supposed to do now? Move on. And that seems so simple when I just say it like that. But really it is. It's hard. It's hard. It is. And it's never easy to move on. But it really is, if you think about it. Because moving on is not just dropping everything and just moving forward, walking in a straight line, just forgetting about it. It's moving forward by moving past what happened, not moving on from it necessarily, not leaving it somewhere that you'll never see. Because moving on is moving in a different direction from what you came from. But you can always look at the past. You can always look at that to give you good advice, to make you change a certain situation. And that's a good thing to have. Because the way we change, the way we become stronger as humanity is through bad times, it's through those hardships that we go through every day. And you don't see it all the time. Probably during the situation, you don't see it at all. But one day in the future, if you do see that, you'll come to realize that you've become such a strong person from what you've gone through. Because what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And I'm sure you've heard that song, you know, what doesn't kill you? Okay. But either way, honestly, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger willfully, maybe physically, if you go to the gym, work it out. I don't know, maybe mentally, maybe your mentality becomes like sparked up by that certain anguish that you used to have. And then you're like, hey, I'm going to go out there, I'm going to do better in the world so people don't feel that way. I don't know. It's up to you now, because that's your take. That's your action to take. And that's what you're supposed to do now, because that's your responsibility to decide whether or not you're ready to move on or not. And sometimes we're not ready to move on. Sometimes you have to feel that guilt straightforward. Sometimes a situation is too serious to actually want to move on from. But that's okay, because we're imperfect. We're human. And that's what makes us imperfect, because we were made imperfectly, but perfectly imperfect, if that makes sense, if you get my gist. So, I mean, I got this quote from online. I don't remember who it's from, but it says that you can't stop the waves, but you can learn to surf. So, I mean, how does how do you perceive that? The way I see it is that if you can't stop the waves, if you can't change the situation, change yourself. Because change is not a bad thing. In fact, as I said before, we're changing constantly every day. But that's not necessarily for the worse. It could be for the better. And maybe in certain situations, it's a bad thing to change. But in the end, where you've come from and where you are now will help you in the future to either avoid certain circumstances, certain bad influences in the future, or maybe just change you altogether. So far, I think that's all I really have to say about moving on. And I know that I haven't really had something really big to move on from because I guess I've been somewhat lucky that I haven't had really bad circumstances. But in all honesty, and so you're just gonna laugh for this, I'm sure, but I was not quite honest this morning when we first started. Yeah, I said that we started this momentum session today on a Sunday, well, Sunday for us, because of certain circumstances, but those circumstances were of me not showing up to the momentum session yesterday morning. I can give you all the excuses, everything that happened, or I can tell you straight, I didn't show up, I was late, and yeah. I didn't wake up that morning. Well, I woke up an hour later from when it was supposed to start. And yeah, I totally regret what I did now that like I woke up late. I regret that. I didn't put an alarm on, or I didn't put enough alarms on to wake me up. I regret that. I regret not charging my phone before because it could have died. I regret not getting up out of my bed and just like jumping in, yelling, Sergio, I still want to do it right now. I'm going to do it right now. We can film it right now. It's going to be okay. I regret all those things. But, I mean, if I didn't do all those things yesterday, if I didn't regret or have that feeling of regret, how would I have come up here today and done what I did, said what I said? Because, again, in all honesty, I didn't seem to take much time writing all the things that I wanted to say. And I quickly like wrote it. I didn't put much thought into it. But after what happened yesterday, I started looking at it and I started rewriting it. I started figuring out what I really wanted to say. And I had this new perception of what I wanted to say, what message I wanted to get across. So like, yeah, this is some silly situation where I didn't wake up, I missed a deadline, or I missed a certain event. But from that, I've come here and like I've given probably more than what I could have given yesterday. So it's not necessarily not living with that regret or not having that happen at all. It's just reflecting on it and really accepting that it happened and moving forward with it. That's all I have to say. So I hope that was, yeah, good.
Phenomenal, Miki. Oh my God, you're amazing.
Thank you.
There's actually a ton of comments. You can go and check them out.
Okay, yeah, I'm not on Facebook. I'll do that now.
Yeah, but the last one, I'll just read this last one from Rachel. She said, don't discredit your insight just because you haven't had anything big to get over. Wisdom is wisdom, regardless of who it comes from. That session was definitely one of the most valuable I've seen. Thank you.
Aw, thank you so much, Rachel.
Yeah, so you should go check out all the comments. That was honestly amazing.
Thank you so much. I mean, that really helps me, Rachel, that you said that, because, I mean, I know that I haven't had, like, a lot of things happen to me. And maybe that's a good thing, maybe that's a bad thing, but, I mean, in different situations and with different people, I mean, we all have different, like, perceptions of certain situations. So, I mean, we all come out differently. Like, I guess when you, like, imagine it, when you're baking cookies, they don't all come out exactly perfect or exactly the same, because we are all different. We're all created differently. And that's okay, because then we have more, like, not more, but we have different viewpoints. So then from that, like, we have different, I guess, things to say about certain situations, which is awesome. And oh gosh, I'm looking at all these comments. Okay, wait. Where am I supposed to look? Am I supposed to look on the page itself? Because I'm looking at the link. So,
On the pinned one on the main group. There's
Okay.
like 11 or 12 or something comments. There's a bunch.
oh, the one with Rachel, like, hey, okay.
Rachel just going off, yeah.
That reminds me of a quote. If you can fix the problem, why worry? If you can't fix the problem, why worry? Oh, I've seen that picture. Yeah, here, I'll try to screen share so you guys can see it. But you can also see it on the page if you're part of GYLS. If you're not, that'd be awesome. Like, do people from outside of GYLS watch these? I've always wondered.
Sometimes, yeah.
Am I screen sharing? I think I'm screen sharing.
Yeah,
So,
we can see it.
yeah. So this is awesome. Like, so anywhere you go, you end up to why worrying. Because, like, if there's a problem in life, if you don't have a problem, then there's nothing to worry about. If you do have a problem and you can't do something about it, then you have nothing to worry about because it's not like you can do something. If you have something to do about it, like, you have something to do about it. So do it. Like, that's awesome. Thank you, Rachel. And, yeah, so just looking at all these comments, mostly from Rachel, which is awesome. Awareness or consciousness about a situation is so important to moving on. I completely agree. I'm glad you agree, Rachel. Don't discredit your insight. Okay, that's really sweet. Your body is living, but your spirit's not living. Oh, girl, preach. Oh, Rachel, you're awesome. I'm glad that you got something out of it. So yeah, just chilling now. My throat's kind of dry. I don't know if I'm getting sick again, but drink up, guys. Because, well, at least in California, we're in a drought, so you don't want to, like, faint or something.
So before we wrap up, if any of you guys watching live have any questions for Miki, now's the time. Post them on the event page. And I know there's a little bit of a lag from live, so by the time they hear that, it'll be a little bit, but we'll give them all a second to see if they have any questions.
Yeah. That felt good.
That was awesome. So I have a question for you. What about yesterday do you regret the most? Like, what about missing the session yesterday?
But missing the session. Well, first I have to, like, interpret what happened. But I definitely had this feeling that I could still get up and I could, like, still do it today. And I was like, oh, I'll rush through it and I can still get it done. I felt like it was a deadline type thing, like it was homework to me back then. I don't know why, because at first I was really excited to do it, like get all passionate, start talking, be like Marlon, like, I don't know. But then I realized that that was wrong. And I mean, that's regretting it today. But yesterday, I definitely regretted not waking up, like seeing that it was 8 o'clock and getting right out of the bed to get online, to talk to you, Sergio, and to be like, hey, is it cool if we like do it now? Like, I'm ready for it. So, I mean, I definitely regret it. But thinking about it now and after everything that I've said, that like, if I didn't regret that, obviously none of this would have come out, or like it wouldn't have come out so awesomely, I guess. So, I mean, I regret it, but I don't regret it. Like, I regret not doing it in the past, but like, it's kind of like an Inception. Like, I regret it, but I don't regret it now.
Yeah. You were able to pull a gift out of it. So
Yeah.
how can you regret something that gave you a gift of running such an amazing international live webinar, right?
Yeah. Awesome. I mean, at first I was like shaking, like not actually like shaking, like convulsing, but I was like kind of like nervous, like one of those like nervous things where like right before you go onto stage for like a play or like singing or something, like the butterflies kick in and like your hands start like shaking like you drank too much coffee, and then like I don't know, like I wasn't sweating or anything, but it's like nerve-wracking because like so many people from around the world are watching this, but like I'm at home, I feel like I'm just talking to Sergio because like all I see is Sergio. Yeah, so this is awesome.
Sweet. So I don't think we have any more questions. If any of you guys do, you can post them on that same link, and then Miki can answer them after. So wrap it up. Take us home.
Okay. Yeah, definitely losing my voice now. So in the end, like, to just wrap up everything that we've gone over, regret's not a bad thing. It seems to be like to come off as a bad thing from like the definition that I read at first, like repenting and feeling sorrow, feeling sadness. But it is a negative thing. But I mean, negative things, like if you take math into this, like negative things can become positive. And I mean, negative things in your life, negative situations, negative like things that people have done to you, it's a bad thing. It's not a good thing. But what comes out of it, what's like reproached from it, what's taken out of that situation can be good, and it can do good. So, I mean, if bad things happen to you, it's not necessarily okay, but you can make it better for the world if you go through something. And there's always a possibility of not going through anything and like helping the world. But I mean, everyone goes through regret and through guilt, and it's just a human nature, or not a human nature, but it's like something that we as humans have. It's a feeling, it's there, it's never gonna go away. But I mean, you gotta live with it. Like, take the tattoo, for example. Like, regret is like a tattoo. It sticks to you, and it won't go away because it's permanent. But maybe other people or even you get something out of it, because maybe it's shaped in a certain way that like maybe other people don't like, or maybe you didn't like at first because maybe the tattoo artist didn't do it right, or I don't know what. But I mean, something good can come out of it. Maybe you'll start a conversation with someone like, hey, nice tattoo, and then like you become best friends. Like that's kind of way off topic, but I mean, good things can happen from bad things. So if something bad happens, reflect on it and really think about the situation, how other people went through it, how you went through it, and maybe get something good out of it. And yeah, it's not necessarily a good thing to have bad things happen to you, but then again, it's not also a bad thing. So, I hope I didn't just say the same thing twice, but I hope you get my gist, and I guess that's all I have to say. I guess there aren't any more questions, or I hope.
Oh, Rachel asked, how can we be as cute as you?
Wait, is that a legit question, Rachel? I don't know. Try braiding your hair to one side for a whole 3 years. I don't know. Rachel, you're cute too, okay? We're all kind of cute. Just some more than others, or like it comes off in different times. I don't know. I feel lazy right now, so maybe being lazy is cute. Maybe Sergio's like being angry is cute. My mom's like, okay. Yeah, so I think that's it. I think we've covered a lot. I guess if there aren't any questions, I guess I answered everything, or I said everything, so I guess that's a good thing. I'm glad that you guys could come out and join us. I hear notifications.
Rachel just posted, it's a legit question, and then she's like, okay, I'll braid it.
Yay! Go, Rachel. All right. I think that's it then, if we covered everything. I don't know how long this is, though, because I don't see how long it is. But hopefully I didn't take your whole day. And if I did, I hope you guys got something out of it, because there aren't any questions. So, I mean, I'm sure something got across. And, I mean, you can always get information, or not information, but like get wisdom from people like younger than you, older than you, because obviously I'm probably way younger than most of you. And I mean, that doesn't necessarily mean that you can't step up and be a leader, and that you can't give some advice that could actually help someone in the future. So, I mean, this is going back to GYLS. Step up and like be a leader. Like for the momentum session, like I was at first I was like, I'll never do that. Like, I don't want to lead one of those. People are going to be staring at me the whole time. It's going to be awkward, and like there's going to be silences. I'm going to like trip up on my words. But I mean, it's definitely comforting only seeing Sergio. But all in all, I took a leap of faith, and look where it got me. Like, I don't know. This made my week so much better, honestly. And I'm so glad that I did it. So thank you so much, Sergio, because he's the one that's doing all of this and that's making it possible. That's coming every single week and covering up for me. So thank you, Sergio. Props to you. And yeah, signing off. Peace, guys. Have a good day, night. Sleep tight. I don't know. For you, Jasmine. And yeah, I don't know what else to say.
All right, we're good. See you guys all next week.
Bye, guys.